Jeremy. Today's day 381 of reading Harry Potter-Order of the Phoenix. Let's get started. We're currently on page 192. Believed to be Cyrus Black is actually called Stubby Boardman, lead singer of the popular singing group The Hobgoblins, who retired from public life after being struck in the ear by a turnip at a concert in Little Norton Church Hall nearly 15 years ago. I recognized him the moment I saw his picture in the paper. Now, Stubby couldn't possibly have committed those crimes because on the day in question, he happened to be enjoying a romantic candlelit dinner with me. I have written to the Minister of Magic and am expecting him to give Stubby, alias Cyrus, a full pardon any day now. Harry finished reading and stared at the page in disbelief. Perhaps it was a joke, he thought. Perhaps the magazine often printed spoof items. He flicked back a few pages and found the piece on Fudge. Cornelius Fudge, the Minister of Magic, denied that he had any plans to take over the running of the Wizarding Bank, Gringotts, when he was elected Minister of Magic 5 years ago. Fudge has always insisted that he wanted nothing more than to cooperate peacefully with the guardians of our gold. But does he? Sources close to the minister have recently disclosed that Fudge's dearest ambition is to seize control of the goblin gold supplies and that he will not hesitate to use force if need be. It wouldn't be the first time either, said a ministry insider. Cornelius Goblin Crusher Fudge, that's what his friends call him. If you could hear him when he thinks no one's listening. Oh, he's always talking about the goblins he had done in. He's had them drowned. He's had them dropped off buildings. He's had them poisoned. He's had them cooked in pies. Harry did not read any farther. Fudge might have many faults, but Harry found it extremely hard to imagine him ordering goblins to be cooked in pies. He flicked through the rest of the magazine, pausing every few pages as he read an accusation that Churchill Tornadoes were winning the Quidditch League by a combination of blackmail, illegal broom tampering, and torture. An interview with a wizard who claimed to have flown to the moon on a clean sweep 6 and brought back a bag of moon frogs to prove it, and an article on ancient runes, which at least explained why Luna had been reading the Quibbler upside down. According to the magazine, if you turn the runes on their heads, they reveal the spell to make your enemy's ears turn into kumquats. In fact, compared to the rest of the articles in the Quibbler, the suggestion that Cyrus might really be the lead singer of the Hobgoblins seemed quite sensible. Anything good in there? Said Ron as Harry closed the magazine. Of course not, said Hermione scathingly, before Harry could answer. The Quibbler is rubbish. Everyone knows that. Excuse me, said Luna. Her voice had suddenly lost its dreaming quality. My father's the editor. Oh, said Hermione, looking embarrassed. Well, it's got some interesting, it's quite... I'll have it back, thank you, said Luna coldly, and leaned forward. She snatched it out of Harry's hand. Rifling through it to page 57, she turned it resolutely upside down again and disappeared behind it, just as the compartment door opened for the third time. Harry looked around. He had expected this, but that did not make the sight of Draco Malfoy smirking at him from between his cronies, Crabbe and Goyle, any more enjoyable. What? He said aggressively before Malfoy could open his mouth. Manners, Potter. Well, I'll have to give you detention, drawled Malfoy, whose sleek blonde hair and pointed chin were just like his father's. You see, I, unlike you, have been made a prefect, which means that I, unlike you, have the power to hand out punishments. Yeah, said Harry, but you, unlike me, are a jit, so get out and leave us alone. Ron, Hermione, Ginny, and Neville laughed. Malfoy's lips curled. Tell me, how does it feel being second best to Weasley, Potter? He asked. Shut up, Malfoy, said Hermione sharply. I seem to have touched a nerve, said Malfoy, smirking. Well, just watch yourself, Potter, because I'll be dogging your footsteps in case you step out of line. Get out, said Hermione, standing up. Sniggering, Malfoy gave Harry a last malicious look and departed, Crabbe and Goyle lumbering in his wake. Hermione slammed the compartment door behind them and turned to look at Harry, who knew at once that she, like him, had registered what Malfoy had said and had been just as unnerved by it. "Check us another frog," said Ron, who had clearly noticed nothing. Harry could not talk freely in front of Neville and Luna. He exchanged another nervous look with Hermione and then stared out the window. He had thought Cyrus coming with him to the station was a bit of a laugh, but it suddenly seemed reckless, if not downright dangerous. Hermione had been right. Cyrus should not have come. What if Mr. Malfoy had noticed a black dog and told Draco? What if he had deduced that the Weasleys, Lupin, Tonks, and Moody knew where Cyrus was hiding? Or had Malfoy's use of the word dogging had been a coincidence? The weather remained undecided as they traveled farther and farther north. Rain spattered the windows in a half-hearted way. Then the sun put in a feeble appearance before clouds drifted over it once more. When darkness fell and lamps came on inside the carriages, Luna rolled up the quibbler, put it carefully away in her bag, and took to staring at everyone in the compartment instead. Harry was sitting with his forehead pressed against a train window, trying to get a first distinct glimpse of Hogwarts, but it was moonless night and the rain-streaked window was grimy. "We'd better change," said Hermione at last, and all of them opened their trunks with difficulty and pulled on their school robes. She and Ron pinned their prefect badge carefully to their chests. Harry saw Ron checking how it looked in the black window. At last the train began to slow down, and they heard the usual racket up and down as everybody scrambled to get their luggage and pets assembled, ready for departure. Ron and Hermione were supposed to supervise all this. They disappeared from the carriage again, leaving Harry and the others to look after Crookshanks and Pigwidgeon. "I'll carry that owl if you like," said Luna to Harry, reaching out for Pigwidgeon as Neville stowed Trevor carefully in an inside pocket. "Oh, thanks," said Harry, handing her the cage and hoisting Hedwig's more securely into his arms. They shuffled out of the compartment, feeling the first sting of the night air on their faces as they joined the crowd in the corridor. Slowly they moved toward the doors. Harry could smell the pine trees that lined the path down to the lake. Harry stepped out onto the platform and looked around, listening for the familiar call of "First years over here, first years." But it did not come. Instead, a quite different voice, a brisk female one, was calling, "First years, line up here, over here, please. All first years to me." A lantern came swinging toward Harry, and by its light he saw the prominent chin and the severe haircut of Professor Grubbly Plink, the witch had taken over Hagrid's care of magical creatures lessons for a while the previous year. "Where's Hagrid?" he said out loud. "I don't know," said Ginny, "but we better get out of the way. We're blocking the door." "Oh, yeah." Harry and Ginny became separated as they moved off along the platform and out through the station. Jostled by the crowd, Harry squinted through the darkness for a glimpse of Hagrid. He had to be here. Harry had been relying on it. Seeing Hagrid again had been one of the things to which he had been looking forward most, but there was no sign of him at all. He can't have left, Harry told himself as he shuffled slowly through a narrow doorway onto the road outside with the rest of the crowd. He's just got a cold or something. He looked around for Ron and Hermione, wanting to know what they thought about the reappearance of Professor Grubbly Plink, but neither of them were anywhere near him. So he allowed himself to be shunted forward onto the dark, rain-washed road outside Hogsmeade Station. Here stood the 100 or so horseless stagecoaches that always took the students above the first year up to the castle. Harry glanced quickly at them, turned away to keep a lookout for Ron and Hermione, then did a double take. The coaches were no longer horseless. There were creatures standing between the carriage shafts. If he had to give them a name, he would suppose he would have called them horses, even though there was something reptilian about them too. They were completely fleshless. There, thank you everyone. That's all for today. Bye, see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to read page 197. Bookmark, close. Peace out.